here we go. So the next step, this is exactly 6 by 8, and some people think they need to use the cutting board. I highly recommend that you just go ahead and cut it out with scissors, because it's harder, I think, to find the edges. So you want it to be 6 by 8. So go ahead and cut it out. And it's going to be in proportion. Remember, your big piece of paper is 18, which is 3 times 6, by 24, which is 3 times 8. So this is the exact same proportions that your gridded paper is. So you'll be able to, what you're going to do is draw it 64 abstract drawings at a time. So it's already abstract. We're not trying to make a realistic portrait. This one is, it's you know, semi-realistic, but it's not. It's abstract. So what you're going to do then is start looking for different values, and you're going to draw lines around those values. Now you're going to have a lot of jiggy-jaggy lines. You do not have to draw those. You can simplify it. So here, oh great. You can take a Sharpie. You can use another pen if you want to. But the Sharpie should be a thin one. Ideally, it's been used a little bit so it doesn't bleed all over. Make sure your paper's not underneath here, because the Sharpie will go through the paper. All right, so there's the shape. What you do is look for shapes defined by the values, and you just go through. And now notice my shapes are smooth. And it's not going to look anything like what your notion of a nose, a mouth, lips, etc. Just draw what you see. Sometimes it's helpful for people because they get this notion of what an eye should look like, and what the different features should look like, and they just can't see it. Turn it upside down if you can't figure out what to do. So you're going to outline every single shape. Some of the teeny tiny shapes you will leave out. And now in some of these places where it gets really skinny right there, if I can figure out where the heck my ink pens are. You might want to get an ink pen, a ballpoint pen or something, to draw around these smaller shapes, because it's kind of difficult to draw the really skinny shapes with these Sharpies. So if you need, this is an extra fine point. Don't use anything fat, or your lines will go together and then you won't be able to draw it. These are the lines you're going to draw. So you're going to continue with this. And a lot of you are going to miss some of them because you're not trained to look. So you're going to see the big ones, but the little ones, and a lot of people really have a hard time with eyes and noses and lips, because your brain has this stereotype of what it should look like. It's not going to look like that at all. It's going to look really, really weird. Okay? But as long as you look for the shapes, draw what you see, some of the really, really small areas you might leave out. So, for example, down here, can you see the eyelashes? Let me zoom up on that a little bit. I'm going to zoom up on the eye, because the eye is really complicated. All right, hold on. See the eyelashes here? How do I do that? And if you wear a lot of mascara, what I'm going to do is kind of just generalize here. And I'm going to combine some of the shapes. Because if you do every single tiny detail, you will lose your mind. And remember, it's not a perfect portrait. It's not realistic. You've already made it unrealistic in Photoshop, right? Still looks like your face. You get your pupil here. Now, little dots like that, you may or may not decide to do. You can see these little areas in here. I'm probably just going to leave those out because I don't think that'll change the way the portrait looks. It's not, again, I can't exaggerate enough. Now, the other thing is that every single line should connect with another line. It's getting pretty complicated here. I'm going to do an outside shape here. Keep that going, and then I'm going to define this darker one here. Now, within this, there's a different value. I think I'll do one more value here. But I'm just going to generalize it. I'm not going to do it perfectly. Out here. Now, another big question people have is with the hair. When I first started doing these portraits, a lot of the guys did the gel, and that would divide their hair up into little tiny pieces. Notice how I'm doing the outline here. And so they would really have their hair would be divided up because of the way the gel reflected the light. Like I said, every single line has to end somewhere. You don't want any lines just trailing off. Okay. Now for hair, here, again, watch how I'm going to simplify it. I don't want to make just a straight line, but I'm going to leave that out. I don't think that's important. And I'll continue that here. And then here's the hairline. I will, make it somewhat, I don't want it perfectly straight, because that would look odd. But here, for example, and in the darker areas, can you see this line at all? I don't know what you can see. I'm not watching you. Yeah, you can see it. But here where it gets pretty dark, you might want to get a white colored pencil. Because it's hard to see those lines. All right, now because this is probably as far as anybody will get. There's a dark area in there. I'm just going to leave it. Make sure you have an outline on the outside. If you had, if your hair is frizzing, I would just smooth it out, unless you want the frizzes. Okay, you have that option. All right, when you get completely done, and tomorrow I will show you the next step, but I don't want to overload you today. What you're going to do next, let's see if I can find an example. All right, here's one, and they did, oh, this is, no, it's not. That's the one I was doing. Let's do this one. Here's one that's pretty much finished. Okay? Now, next step, oh, they've gridded it, though. I wanted to find one that wasn't gridded. Is there one that's not gridded? Here's one. This one's not quite done. But if it was done, the next thing you're going to do, oh, that one's got grid on it too. It looks like all of them have grids. But before you grid it, what you want to do, I guess you could do it later, this person, is figure out the values and you're going to number them. So this is 1. This is a little bit darker, but close enough. I can call that a 1. So you're going to go through and find all the same values. 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, then find the next darker value. That's going to be 2. And you don't have to put it everywhere. I'll go over this again tomorrow, but in case somebody's ready to get going on this, they can do that, because I won't have time to help you today. And then 3, you're going to number the values. Get them all numbered. You will have approximately 5 to 8 values. Yeah, what's your question?
Are we going to retake pictures today?
I will retake pictures if and only if I'm not needed at the computers. What my focus is going to be today is to get as many people as possible to get their Photoshop. That's where my focus is going to be. So if you need help, like you want your picture retaken or something, if I have time, I will. Otherwise, what you should be doing is working on your book. If you can't work on your picture, work on your book. And then the final step you're going to take after you number it, you're going to fold it. Here's one. That one's not done. I'm trying to see if I can find one that's done. Here's one, pretty much. Nope. I don't have any of them examples that are done, I guess. But what you're going to do then is you're going to fold it, fold it, fold it, make creases, and draw lines, and then you're going to fold it, and fold it, and then you're going to draw your lines, and then you're going to be ready, just like on your big sheet of paper, you're going to have 64 squares you're going to be ready to draw. So I will revisit the numbering and the folding tomorrow.